Good evening once again, guys. I'm gonna blow through this other scene because this is probably one of my other favorite scenes too. Anyway, yeah. So we just finished that kiss, and so judging from her vivid blush as she pulls back, it's obvious she feels the same as I do. Even if we're entirely alone, it still feels a little embarrassing to open up to each other this much. Oh, come on. If we take everything day by day, I think that would be for the best. Small steps, right? Just small steps. We have plenty of time together even after the school year's over. As long as we move together, I think everything will work out. Neither of us are going to be anywhere soon after all. For now, I'm just thankful that for the small moment in time we can spend together. Oh, I could have just finished the scene. An extra like 30 seconds or something. I'm going to cut out part of the beginning. I stand unmoving in front of the doors to the nurse's office for what feels like at least a dozen minutes or so. It's not like I've never entered the small beige room before, nor is it because of any feelings of childlike anxiety over the visit. Maybe it's because the nurse's office is akin to a confessional, admission that my body is flawed. The knowledge that such a fact is kept entirely confidential between the nurse and I hardly lessens the feeling. Remembering that the bell to signal the end of lunch break will sound soon, I give a sigh and open the door. The burden will stay with me just this little longer. Well, now, if it isn't Nakai, good to see you. Or bad, I guess, considering that I'm the nurse. I love his, little humor. All his little jokes are, they're not the best, but, it kind of offsets the rest of the story. He gives a small laugh and mews at this little joke. I find his humor lacking and somewhat off, but the fact that he can make light of such a situation is perhaps comforting, or at least distracting. His brief episode of entertainment over, he claps his hands together and gets down to business. I take a seat as he gestures me to do so. I wish the classroom had seats this comfortable. I can feel my mind wandering as my eyes quickly scan the room, distracted by all the small changes since the last time. Alrighty, so what brings you here? I haven't seen you often, so I assume your health has been good so far. Well, mostly. I see. His smile drops as I trail off. I feel slightly guilty about it. It's these moments where I can't rationally call myself normal, but that make me so reluctant to see the nurse. They're an admission that I'm different from everyone else. While I was on a trip during the long weekend, I had a few problems with my heart. He hums very seriously and nods as he does so, urging me to go on. I think it was as I was walking a fairly long distance. I think the right term for it was a heart flutter. I suddenly went weak at the knees and felt almost like I was having a small heart attack, but it passed in about half a minute. Even afterward, though, I felt pretty fatigued and nauseous. Not good at all. That was how many days ago? Did you do anything unusual aside from exerting yourself before the episode? Were you taking your medication properly? The nurse switches from awkward jokester to serious health professional mode, rattling off questions, making notes, and calling up stuff on his computer. I tell him about forgetting to take my pills that morning and the night preceding evening. It was a stupid thing to do, but I can't change anything about it now except answer honestly and bite the bullet. His seriousness evolves into a frown, and the talk evolves into an instant checkup. I finish buttoning up my shirt again and get motion to take a seat in front of the nurse. Is this the first time you had problems since coming to Yamaku? I've had short pains in my chest before, just a couple of times, but they were more discomfort than anything like this. He leans back in his chair briefly, resembling a white coat poirot, as he mulls over the mysterious case of the heart flutter, moving his lips from side to side to show he's thinking, his non-existent mustache wiggling. He eventually comes up to a conclusion. Well, you survived it. That's always on the plus side. I blink at then notice the nurse wearing his got you face. It's actually somewhat reassuring. I don't think he would crack jokes if things were really serious, so I keep silent and take my lumps. I'll have to talk to your doctor, but right now I suspect it's simply due to physical exertion. Have you been keeping up with regular exercise like I directed you to? I make sure I walk a reasonable amount every day. It's usually enough to work up a bit of a sweat, but then again, I'm not really as fit as I used to be. That should be enough then. The main thing is to keep in mind to do regular low-stress exercise, not short bursts of sprinting and such. I understand. Since leaving the hospital, I've been a lot more focused on my studies, partly to take my mind off not being able to do more physical things. It's good to hear you're coping well. Sudden lifestyle changes can be hard at the best of times, so I'm pleased to hear that you sound like you have everything in order. Almost everything, that is. Nevertheless, I want you to keep a close I want to keep a close eye on you for a while, just for observation's sake. Just make sure things aren't going downhill, you understand? That's something I really didn't want to hear since coming to Yamaku. All I've wanted to do was live a normal life as possible. Observation was one of the words I came to hate most during the hospital stay. For as long as I felt as if I could have just walked straight out of the hospital doors, if not for that observation the doctors wanted so dearly. Sure, should I come in more often? He checks his calendar next to his computer, which seems to inflict on him a nasty case of furor. Spins back towards me after that. The summer holidays are a bit of a pain considering the timing. I'll check with your doctor to try and get a better handle on the situation and see how he wants to proceed, but I think you should just take things slowly and carefully for now. What you're describing doesn't immediately sound like a recurring event, but it won't hurt to slow down a bit just for a while. Just make sure. What should I do for today? He looks over his shoulder at the clock hanging there. I never noticed if I hadn't followed his gaze. It's nearly time for school to be over. You may as well just leave early. He gives me a sly wink, making sure that I understand he's doing me a favor. Well, nurse's orders, thanks. That's what I'm here for, after all. I know you might not want to hear this, but you can't ignore your condition. Don't hesitate to see me if you have any further problems, or if you have anything you'd want to ask. Bye. He spins around and gets back to typing on his computer in front of him. I suppose I'll just read before waiting for Lily by the gate, considering I don't have much else to do. Even as I leave, his words echo in my mind. My condition isn't something as limiting as many of the others in Yamaku, and I don't want to burden with Lily thinking about it. If I just live life normally and avoid any short, sharp shocks, I should be okay. I won't let my condition rule over me. Okay. Let's make this a little bit shorter, since that was kind of... Yes, and as I was saying, crap. Okay, so as I was saying, I was gonna end that scene right there, because, the doctor thing would take a lot of time, and I know this scene is a little bit long, so, anyway, do all that good stuff, like always, and I will see you. Like the video, subscribe, whatever.